We continue now at the top of Daf Lamed Hamad Aleph and Meseches Bava Kamma. This is Bava Kamma Daf 35a. On the previous Amud, the Gemara was discussing by Chovel U'Maver on Shabbos, if someone creates a wound or if someone lights a fire on Shabbos, but it's done in a completely destructive manner, so is the person chayiv or not in that situation? And the Gemara is in the middle of bringing a proof from our Mishnah. Our Mishnah talks about a case where a person sure lights a stack of grain on Shabbos, so we say in that situation he has to pay for the stack of grain, whereas if he himself lights the stack of grain on Shabbos, since he's chayiv misa, so in that case he's not going to have to pay for the stack of grain. He won't pay any money because of the rule of kimle b'deravimine. If he's already chayiv for the death penalty, so then there is no monetary obligation. And so the Gemara says we should compare the case of his shore lighting the fire to the case where he is lighting the fire. Now the shore, when the shore lights the fire, obviously it's not for any constructive purpose. So afunami de lo kaboile, so too for him, obviously he doesn't require the ashes for anything, just like the shore, if we're going to say the cases in the Mishnah are parallel. V'katani, but yet what does it say in our Mishnah? It says pater mipnei shu nidon benafshu. It says that he's pater from any monetary obligations. He doesn't have to pay for the damage because of the fact that he's chayiv misa. And again, we apply kimle b'derabmine, but this is a completely destructive act. And apparently we're still saying that when it comes to mavir, there's going to be a chayiv of misa in this case. Rashi explains, Afunami de lo kaboy la afro. If we're going to say it's parallel to the case of shore, so he doesn't require it, it's not constructive in any fashion, he doesn't need the afer, he doesn't need the ashes. Umakalkil, who it's completely destructive. V'katani pater mitashlumin, and what does it say in the Mishnah? It says he's pater from paying for the damages. Al machiv misa ika, so you see that there's a chiv misa, even though it's totally destructive. And the Gemara says it's not necessarily a proof from our Mishnah. Lo, no, shoro dumya didei. Maybe it's the other way around. Maybe the axe should be parallel to the case with him. Mahu de kaboile, just like by him, he does require it. Av shoro de kaboile, maybe the shore also, the axe also requires the fire at some kind of constructive purpose. Rashi explains, Afshora de kaboile lav dafka doesn't really mean the axe actually needs the fire. Diafilu lo boile nami chayiv l'shalim. Even if it wouldn't be constructive, obviously the shore, you're going to have to pay for the damage that the shore does. El al karche tarvayu b'chada milsam mukmin. And the point of the Gemara just is that it has to be parallel. Both cases should be the same. Hayli chiyuv of hayli patura. And one of the cases is going to be chayiv, meaning in the case of the shore, and one case is going to be pater for paying for the damages, meaning when he himself lights the fire. And the Gemara continues, Shoro hechi mashkachas la. How do you have a case of a shore of an axe that he's lighting the fire for a constructive purpose? The Gemara says, Amar le Rav Avia said to him, Hacham mayaskin, and here what is the case? B'shor pikeach she'also lo neshicha begabu. We're talking about a smart ox that there's a bite on its back. V'kaboy lemikli v'gander b'kutmi. He wants to light the fire and then roll around in the ashes, and that's going to help with the bite, with the wound. And the Gemara says, Umano yadina. How do we know that that was the intention of the shore? The levasar dekalia kamegander b'kutma, because right after he lights the fire, he rolls around in the ashes. And the Gemara says, Umi-ika ki agavna, but is there actually a situation like that? Does an ox actually do that? The Gemara says, yes, Torah dehava be Rapapa. There was an ox by the house of Rapapa, dehave kivin lechinche, that his teeth were hurting. Ailu piske linezaisa. The shore went and broke open the lid of a utensil, v'shasi shichra v'itasi, and it drank the beer that was there, and that was able to heal the shore. But the Gemara continues, Amar Rabbanan Kame de Rapapa. The Rabbanan said in front of Rapapa, Mimotzis Amrit Shoro Dumyu Didei. Could you really learn our Mishnah that the shore is going to be parallel to the case by the person? V'hakatani Shoro should be a pater. But it says in the Mishnah that if his shore, if it humiliates, so then it's pater from paying the boshes payment. V'hu should be a shchay. But if he does the same thing, so then he's chayiv to pay the boshes payment. And the Gemara says Shoro Dumyu Didei. So if you're going to say that the shore is similar to his case, Niskavin Levayish. So you're essentially saying that we're talking about a situation where the person had kavana to humiliate the other person. That's why he has to pay for boshes. And the shore also had the same kavana, the same intention. And so the Gemara says, Hey, how do you have a case where an ox has intention to humiliate someone? It doesn't make any sense. And the Gemara says, no, it could be kagon sheneskaven lahazik. It could be that, for example, that the shore has kavana to do damage. That's considered to be enough kavana in terms of paying the boshes payment. The Yomar Mar, because the master said neskaven lahazik, if somebody has intention to damage, afal pishalon neskaven levayish, even though he didn't have intention to humiliate, still if it's a person, he would pay the boshes payment in that situation, but if it's an animal, he will not pay the boshes payment. And the Gemara continues, Rava says, Mas Nisan b'shogeg. Our Mishnah is actually talking about a situation where the person burned the fire on Shabbos. He did it b'shogeg, he did it by mistake, and still there's an exemption from having to pay for the damages. Rashi explains, Rava says, Liola Mas Nisan b'delo kaboy le'la'afaro. Really, our Mishnah is talking about a situation where he does not require the ashes. The fire is not constructive in any way. And the reason why in our Mishnah the person is exempt from paying for the damage, it's not that there's a chi of misa. Really, Rabbi Yochanan is correct. There is no chi of misa in a situation where it's destructive, but still there's a patur from tashlumin. Our Mishnah can even be talking about where the person did it by mistake. There's no chi of misa at all. The leka chi of misa mesukma can even be talking about that scenario of shogeg to pater mitashlumin, and still the person will be pater from paying. Kidatani de vechizki, as is taught in the yeshiva of Chizkiah. And the Gemara continues, Uchidetana de Chizkiah, as it was taught in the yeshiva of Chizkiah. Tetana de Chizkiah, because it was taught in the yeshiva of Chizkiah. Make adam wa make behema. The pasuk talks about killing a man and killing an animal. Ma make behema lo chilakta ba ben shogeg ben mezer ben miskaven l'shein miskaven. Just like when a person kills an animal, there's no difference if it was done by mistake or on purpose, with intention or without intention. Ben derech yirida de derech aliyah, doesn't matter if it was done in a downward motion or an upward motion. Lepotro mammon el l'chayva mammon. There's no distinction. He's not going to be pater in any of these scenarios. He's always going to be chayiv. Af make adam, so too when it comes to killing a person. Latachluk bo ben shogeg lemezin ben miskaven l'shein miskaven ben derech yirida l'derech aliyah. There's no distinction if it was done by mistake or on purpose, with intention, without intention, whether downward, whether upward. L'chayvo mammon el l'potro mammon. The person is not going to be chayiv to pay money. He's going to be pater, because we're going to say, since there's a theoretical chayiv misa, if the person would do it in a way where he would be chayiv misa, so this action therefore carries no chayiv mammon. There's no obligation to pay damages. And the Gemara continues, Amar le Rabbanan l'Rava. The Rabbanan said to Rava, Mimatzis mukmis la b'shogeg. Can you really say that our Mishnah is talking about b'shogeg? V'hamevnei shenidar menafsho katani. But the Mishnah uses the phrase because of the fact that there's a death penalty. B'shogeg, there is no death penalty. And the Gemara answers, Hachi Kamar, this is what the Mishnah means to say, Kevan de b'mezid nidar benafsho. Since if it were to be done b'mezid, there would be a death penalty. V'hechi damian, how would there be a death penalty? The kaboy la'afaro, in the case where the person required the ashes, meaning in a case where it was done in a constructive fashion on Shabbos. So hashta b'shogeg. So now that it was done b'shogeg, and there is no chi of misa, because if you do b'shogeg on Shabbos, no chi of misa, but still pater, still the person is going to be pater from paying for the damages. And Rashi explains, Make nefesh behema yishal menu, make adam yumas. The pasuk says, if you kill an animal, you pay. You kill a person, the person's put to death. And the point is, hukshu yachad, we compare the two of them, demam make behema liola mishalim. Just like if somebody kills an animal, he's always going to pay. V'afilu b'shogeg, even if it's done by mistake, kedamin an adam muad liolam, like we say, a person is always considered a muad. Af make adam, the patre kram mitashlum. And so too, if a person kills another person where he's pater from paying, t'chsiv you must, because there's a death penalty, liolam pater, the person is always pater from paying. V'afilu b'shogeg, even if it's done by mistake where there is no death penalty, ho'elu v'mezid shaycha misa, since if he would do it b'mezid, there would be a death penalty. And Rashi continues, derech aliyah, if it would be done in an upward motion, shahargo kilachar yad, meaning it's done again in a kind of abnormal fashion, b'harimo hagarzin, while he's lifting up the axe, to kaimel and pater min golus. So we've established in such a case that he's actually pater from golus, from exile. Afilu hachi pater mitashlumin, nevertheless he's pater from paying. Hilkach gavei chilul Shabbos nami, therefore also by desecrating Shabbos, afilu b'shogeg pater milashalim, even if it would be b'shogeg, he'd be pater from paying. Hachi garsin and hachi kamar kaven to b'mezid nidon benafsho, since if it was done b'mezid, so there'd be a death penalty. V'hechi dami b'tzarach la'afar, again, for example, in a case where it would be done constructive, where he needs the afer, where he needs the ashes, hashta the shogeg pater. So now that it's done b'shogeg, he is going to be pater. And the Gemara continues with the Mishnah, Shor shayorodef achar shor acher, if an ox is chasing after another ox, v'huzak, and then it's damaged, ze omer shor chahizik, v'ze omer lo, ki ela b'sela loka. And this one says, the reason why my shor got injured is because your shor damaged, your shor attacked my shor. And the other person says, no, that's not what happened. What happened was that your shor got injured on a rock. The halacha is, hamotzi mechaver olav arayah. The halacha is that if you want to exact payment from this other person who has the shor, you're claiming that his shor injured your shor, you have to bring evidence, otherwise that person does not have to pay. Hayushnayim rode from Acharechad, let's say two oxen are chasing after one. This one says it was actually your shore that caused the damage that injured. And the other one says, no, it was your shore that caused the injury, that caused the damage. Rashi says, if the one that's being chased gets damaged, the person who's being accused that his shore is the mazik, he says, no, what happened is your animal got injured on a rock. He hit against a rock and got injured. Shnayim rodfin acharechad, if two oxen are chasing after one, ushloshtan shel shlosha ben adam, the three oxen, they're all owned by different individuals, and we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Lamed Hey Amud Beis.